know that it's generally not a good idea to lay your heart down by making the first move? He has got to do the chasing. So the question is, how do you get him to want you? More than just as a friend, how do you get him to want you for keeps? This is Metro Woman, a program designed for women, and here we provide creative solutions to make your life better. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Hello and welcome back. I'm always so excited to be with you on Metro Woman. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Chine Noli, and here we are going to talk to someone very special. He is Nigeria's leading life and business strategist, a highly sought-after management consultant, motivational speaker, and author. His name is Steve Harris, and we're so delighted to have him on the show. Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We're so glad that you can make it. Thank you. We also have on the set Elizabeth Ayo. She's the MD CEO of House of Betty, an online retail store. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us on the show.
It is my pleasure.
Now, Steve, Elizabeth is actually here with me because she's a single lady, and we have questions to ask. We have a lot of questions. You're the author of a book, From Friend to Fiancee.
Absolutely.
And I think it's an amazing read. I think every single lady should get that book.
Thank you. Please God.
Because it will give them ideas on what to do and how to handle the different situations they find themselves currently in, especially for those who are in relationships or who want to settle down.
Absolutely.
Now, we have several questions to ask you, so you have to get ready for this.
Bring it.
Okay, the first question we're going to ask from a girl, her name is Jennifer. She sent in this question from Abuja, and she says, Mr. Harris, how do I know that he is Mr. Right? What exactly should I look out for? What qualities should I look out for?
Okay, that's a great question, Jennifer. So if I was to respond to that, I'd say most women, most in generally, while they're expecting Mr. Right, are more interested in Mr. Right now. And there's a difference.
Between Mr. Right and Mr. Right now.
So sometimes your Mr. Right now is the bridge to get you to the man you're hoping to desire. But in order to answer your question, the man that you want to spend the rest of your life with has to be someone who you know not just fears God, but loves God. Now, I know that sounds like a cliche, because a lot of people say, oh, we want my husband to be God-fearing. It's just a cliche. But in reality, the man who will not cheat on you, the man who will support you and encourage you, is a man who loves God, not necessarily who fears God. So a man who fears God, in my explanation, is one who, for the fear of thunder and lightning, will decide not to do anything because of reprisals. But a man who loves God, you take away the reprisals, and he says, listen, I can't do this thing based on the relationship that I have with God. The second thing you need to be able to look out for is he a cheerleader? In my book, I talk about the three types of men. And I talk about the scavenger, there's the hunter, and the gardener. Particularly go into the gardener. The gardener is a man who sees his fiancée as a seed. He sees her as someone he wants to nurture. She has great ambition, she has great potential. And his job is to nurture that kind of environment or create the right environment for her to succeed. How do you know that's the kind of man you're dating? Very simple. When you're talking to him about your dreams, does he say we or does he say you? So for example, if Betty's the CEO of House of Betty, so as a single girl, she's dating, and the guy talks to her and she's talking about her dreams, and he says, and so when are you going to do this thing about your House of Betty? That's not the man you should be looking at. The man you should be looking at is one who says, you know what, how do we take this to the next level? He personalizes your dream. He takes ownership and responsibility for your dream. The other men, the hunters, are the men who see women as trophies. So he sees this fine chick, you know, somewhere. He's like, you know what, I'm going to get that girl. You know, I'm going to get that girl. And he does a lot to get her, because most in generally, the women we're speaking to are young, upwardly mobile, career-focused, godly women who are interested in success. And unfortunately, most in general, because most women are so focused on their career or their vision, they tend not to see certain things. So a man looks at this girl and he says, you know what, I can get that. I'm gonna get her eaten out of my hands in 3 months because she acts like she doesn't need anyone. She acts like she doesn't talk to anyone. She acts like she's so up there. So he's interested in the chase. So it's all about the thrill of the chase. And that man will literally, after having his way with the girl, he talks, if she's unfortunate to get married to him, he's going to be talking about things. When she says, she wants to go to school or get an MBA, he says, get an MBA to do what? Who's going to take care of the kids? Right? So he kills her dreams, he kills her vision, he kills her ambition. That's not the kind of man that you should be able to be with. Can you, number one, is your man a man who loves God? Beyond the worship, beyond the church activity, his heart is fixed that, see, I'm a man, right? But because I love God, I can't do this. Because I love God, I can't hit you.
Yeah.
Because you may tick me off, you can drive me crazy, you can say what you like, but because I love God, I'm going to put that first. Second, does he personalize your dreams and ambitions? Is he talking about it as a we project, as opposed to a you project? Number three, does he walk his talk? Who are his friends? A lot of women, sometimes I've been privileged to coach quite a lot of women in marriage counseling, and many people complain about their spouses. And they say, well, their husband is not, he doesn't listen, blah, blah, blah. And one of the questions I ask is, who's his mentor?
Thank you so much. We could go on and on and on.
Okay.
Okay, so Betty has a question
Yes,
for
I have
you.
this question. She says she just met this guy, and he has already shown her off to his friends and family members that, oh, this is my new girl. But he has never really had the talk with her to formally be in a relationship with her. Is it right, and how long should it be to continually pay him visits, cook for him, help him in his house chores, just because he says he's just still getting to know her?
Okay, now there's something like I wrote in my book, and it might sound a little controversial, but I always say you've got to be able to. There are two rooms that should be out of bounds.
Yeah.
His bedroom and his kitchen. Now, I'm not saying that, for example, for this lady in particular, I'm not saying, hey, don't go over to his place and cook him a meal. He needs to know that, listen, if you buy this product, this is what life is going to be like. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But you don't expect to go there every time and just make things happen. His bedroom, 100% out of bounds. His kitchen, once in a while. But now, concerning her question, he hasn't formally popped the question or said anything. Yeah. Let me give a practical example. I have a friend who went through this kind of process. So he liked her, told her he liked her. He hadn't formally asked her out, but he was doing the things. He was visiting her, checking her out, introduced her to family and friends. But he hadn't formally said, I'd like to date you. Would you go out with me? And I asked her a question. I said, well, is he walking his talk? She said, yes. Is he showing that you're the kind of person he wants to spend the rest of your life with? She said, yes. I said, which would you prefer, an engagement ring or a wedding ring? Right? And she said, well, I'd rather have a wedding ring, because I said engagements can be broken. He can tell you that he's going to date you or say all the nice things, but if it doesn't cross that final hurdle, nothing's going to happen. Yeah. Right? So there is a place, I think, yes, you might want to talk it over with him. Depends on the kind of relationship you have. Talk it over with him to say, hey, listen, what's going on? You've introduced me to your family and your friends as your new girl, but I haven't gotten that memo. So what's going on? And you don't have to be too serious about it. It's not a life or death thing. Because a lot of guys, they just want to be eased into commitments, not dropped into commitments.
Into commitments.
Yeah.
Great. Right. Now, I have another question here from Sophia. And Sophia is in Lagos, Nigeria. And she says her mom thinks that she should slow down on her business pursuits because she's a successful businesswoman, and her mom thinks that that is going to deter potential suitors from coming to her. Yeah. So her mom wants her to slow down, and she doesn't believe in that. So she wanted to have your opinion. Okay.
Concerning slowing down, I think first off, it's a two-way street. A man who will be deterred by your success is a man who's insecure. Right? So. But then again, there are some men who may look at you from a distance. You look like you've got it going on. You've got a car. You've got a great job. You've got your own crib. Everything seems to be up and dandy. But the challenge is he doesn't perceive there's a need from you. You know what I mean? So you look altogether lovely, and he looks at himself and he says, what am I going to do for her? What does she need that I can handle? And he can't tell based on the superficiality of what it is, beyond the success. Now,
so do men always want to feel that you have a need?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Every man wants to feel needed. No matter how, I mean, no matter how successful you are,
Okay.
he wants to feel that he's needed. Maybe you
In
need,
your life.
exactly, that you need to bounce off ideas from him. Maybe he
Yeah.
may not be able to provide money, but he can provide comfort, he can provide security, whatever the case may be, but he's got to be able to feel needed. But unfortunately, what normally happens, because a lot of women are very career focused, and they have the trappings, which is where I'm sure her mom is a little concerned that, listen,
Yes.
girl, you're driving cars, you're changing cars, you
Yes.
look like you're traveling, Instagram, you're buying bags, what's a man going to do for you? You know, and that's a bit of a challenge. So it's a two-way street. So first off, men want to feel that they're needed. They don't
Okay.
want to feel like, you know what,
You have
there's
everything.
nothing, I beg, there's nothing I can do for this girl. You know, so
Okay.
she has to, I would say, not necessarily slow it down, but scale it down.
scale it down
Scale it
more
down,
like.
scale it down, not slow it down, but just scale it down. And it's not just semantics. A man has got to approach you. So you ladies look altogether lovely. Now, if I didn't have if I didn't have great self-esteem, I may look at you and say, oh, man, shy. How am I going to talk to these chicks or whatever the case may be? But a man has got to feel that beyond the glitz, beyond the glamour, beyond everything going well, that you're accessible.
Yeah.
You know, that I can talk to you. So not when I approach you, you look me in the eye like, please, where are you coming from? Go back to where you're coming from.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. That's amazing. Thank you. I hope you're all taking notes. My guest on the set is taking her notes.
Yes, I am.
Everyone who's taking notes, that's amazing. Okay, we're going for a break and we'll be right back shortly. Don't go away.